Hello, and welcome to the Tower Coffee Hour. I'm your host, Preston or Tyree, and tonight we're bringing you the POA Master Board meeting, a monthly meeting on September 25th, 2025, and covered a lot of things. Just as a quick overview, they talked a lot about the dog park. The dog park committee has come up with a recommendation that the dog park be in the northwest area. A lot of our fellow citizens talked for and against the dog park, and they talked about the swim team effort and both for and against. So the board itself had a financial report which wasn't very pretty. We've got some issues and they're working to get those solved. John Cisneros, who is currently the Executive Director of Cohere Mueller, will be stepping back, still working with Cohere, but someone else will take on his role, so that's the last time we will see him. He gave a pretty good presentation. It's a long meeting, it's an hour and 30 minutes, but you can skip through and just pick up the highlights, and good luck and have a great time.
Okay, it's 6:30, so I think it's time to get going and start the meeting. A good turnout this evening. It's good to see everybody. I'm Karen Sharp, and this is the Master Board of Directors meeting, and I'm the board president. So the first 20 minutes of our meeting will be community comment period, where anyone who has signed up to speak will have 3 minutes to address the board. And we may or may not respond to what you say, but we are listening. So if you don't get a response, know that we are listening. It looks like we have some mini donuts and water available for anyone who wants to partake. So with that, Angela, who's our first speaker?
Susan Brewster.
Susan, if you want to stand right there, that's perfect.
I'm Susan Brewster. I've been a Mueller resident for 4 months shy of 3 years, loving it here. I went to the mixed board and said a lot of these things, so sorry for those who were there for the repetition, but the sunshades of the pools are fantastic. Combination of form and function. It's rare you see something that is aesthetically pleasing and does a great job, so kudos to you guys for doing that. Very good. Secondly, on the dog park, I'm a cat owner. I don't care about a dog park, I don't want one. But I have to say the dog park folks did a really good, thoughtful survey, asking appropriate questions to get community support, and then spread it widely, door to door. So I have to say I support the dog park. Honestly, I think it would be better located at the northwest, where it's closer to the high-density apartment complexes. As those people, it's more of an income issue and difficulty getting to green space. I think that would be a better option. And it would have no impact on property owners other than, Sprouts and Bath and Body Works. And it's got plenty of parking in that parking lot. So I would urge the board to support the dog park, but consider doing, anything you do, or even a pilot up at the northwest. Finally, the swim team, I'm sorry to say their survey was not very good, and it was not widely distributed, but still 75% of the community was against it. The reason I came to the meeting tonight is I Zoomed in last time, and there were some children speaking. And they seem to think that if the swim team doesn't go through, they can't be in a swim team, which is, of course, false. There's a great swim team right up at Bartholomew Pool. It has a much longer swim team session. It costs less, even if you do the swim lesson part. And it's completely funded by the city of Austin. No expense to Mueller and no loss of pool time to Mueller residents. So I would urge that those factors be considered. And I understand there are people who really, really want this, but this is your first year as a board, and I know you guys have a super tough job. But I have to say your main job is to represent the whole community. And it's hard when you've got a group that's really clamoring for something. But I would just recommend that it's your personal and moral responsibility to try to represent the community as a whole If you want to go ahead with the swim team, may I respectfully ask that you repeat a survey that has better questions and get it out to everybody. Oh, and consider the legal implications of the covenant that we've already signed. It says you can't restrict our hours. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, and Karen Ascott.
Thank you. I'm Karen Ascott, been here a little over 2 years. Obviously, I'm not supporting, I am against the dog park being placed in the Southeast Greenway. It would represent a lot more traffic and overflow parking. The skate park is already often, the parking lot there is full on a popular day. I think it's unfortunate that the developer did not create a larger dog park in the first place, but that I don't feel you should remedy that by making another problem for all the residents on the east end of the neighborhood. Traffic, noise, stink. We also, I think we have some maintenance problems already, and I don't have confidence that it would be maintained properly if there were one. I have 2 large dogs myself, and I was well aware when I moved here that there was no sufficient dog park, and I just walk them every single day. And I've noticed many times overflowing bins for the poop, as well as a lack of plastic bags for picking up the poop. So I don't really feel confident at all that it would be maintained well if there were a dog park down there. Further, I would just like to point out, last weekend, for instance, I was doing some tree maintenance. I have seen dozens of trees that are basically being strangled by their supports because nobody has removed the supports. The trees are growing around the wires and the straps. And I think there are literally many dozens of trees that are like that have not been taken care of for a couple of years. And I think that that's indicative of how far behind we are on maintenance or problems with the budget for maintenance. You know, I don't think that bodes well for a new facility. We need a lot of maintenance, a lot of regular noticing. And I'll just add something. At least a year ago, I saw Mr. Joe Denton when I was walking with a friend of mine who introduced us. And I said something like, you know, why don't we have more fruit trees over here by the figs? And his words were, it's not in the plan. So I hope we can remember the dog park was not in the plan either. The neighborhood was planned meticulously to the square inch. And that field is a real multi-use field. You know, people fly kites and play frisbee. And I think it would be really unfair if that multi-use became a single use for just one small group of residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cassie Barron.
I am also here for about the dog park. My name is Cassie Barron. I own a house just outside of Mueller. I've owned it for about 10 years. I also really liked the survey that was put out about the dog park, and I admit I'm kind of concerned and disappointed that the results of that were not shared with the participants and made available before this meeting. I would have really loved to have been able to see that feedback. So I have a dog. I walk my dog at Mueller every day. It's her favorite part of the day. And you know, we know that there's these 2 locations for the dog park. And so after I heard about the north one up by Sprouts, I decided to go check it out. So I went out there around sunset, which is kind of the popular time to walk your dogs because it's so hot. Like, you gotta go out there sometime, and like sunset's the best time. And it was lovely. It was a lovely green space. It was a little hard to find. It was about 10 minutes away from where I live. And I explored it. There was one of those dog poop trash cans and bags. It was empty. There were tons of bags, but the can was empty. But it was absolutely deserted. There was no one there. As soon as it got dark, I left immediately because I didn't feel safe being there. And I went back by the skate park, which is where I usually walk my dog. I can understand how someone who doesn't have a dog would look at that space and see this is perfect for dogs because it's a green area. But the thing is that people are lazy and they want convenience. Like, if my dog didn't beg for it every day, I just let her out the back door. And so people are going to try to make their dogs happy in the most convenient, easy way for them. And the way that appears to be is the field by the skate park. People are already going there. People are already letting their dogs off leash there every day. I mean, if you go out there right now, I guarantee you there's someone out there with their dog off leash there. And they do it because it's the perfect site to do that. The slope creates kind of a wall. The field isn't particularly well maintained, so there aren't other uses for it that people use it for much. I see people with their dogs there every day. Occasionally I've seen some people with frisbees. Once I saw someone with a kite. I think whoever was speaking before, it's true, the poop places are overflowing there. We do run out of poop bags there, and that's because so many people go there with their dogs. That's where there's need. That's where it will get use. So, you know, when you're thinking about building a dog park, you gotta wanna build a facility that people are going to actually use. And if you put the dog park where people are already using it, people are gonna go to that. I know I'm not gonna go to the other one. Oh, okay, it's too far away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Bank.
Let them know that we're gonna discuss it. Yeah, you can say that right now if
Okay.
you want to.
Real quickly, hi, I'm Brian DeLeese, I'm one of the board members. I just wanted to say, because I know there's gonna be more probably conversation and questions and comments related to the proposed dog park. I'm gonna be giving a presentation from an update from the last working group meeting, but just to kind of jump to the end result, the working group did recommend the Northwest Greenway, not the Southeast Greenway, as the location, if that's helpful for folks as part of this conversation. I'll have also more details in the presentation. Yes, that'll be part of the conversation, but that's going to be later. I just wanted to share that now, because I know there's a lot of conversations and questions about that, and people are leaving.
Thank you. I came today, I've seen you before. My name's David Bank, I've been a resident for 3 years. I'm a past father of a German Short Hair Pointer and a Weimaraner, and I love dogs. The board did a great job setting up the dog park working group, which we call DOLA. Okay? This was charged 4 months ago to bring 10 people together to listen to all the pros and cons of a dog park and listen to the pros and cons of sites. And the moderator of it, Yasmin, I wish she was here, was absolutely fabulous. What the DOLA committee decided, based on their charge from POA, and it was delivered, is that 6 of 10 very neutral people listened to the presenters carefully and formulated their opinion based on the facts. And the facts were that, yes, Mueller should pilot a dog park, and number 2, it should be in the Northwest Greenway for all of the reasons that we've been talking about for the last 3 years. I'm proud of DOLA, I'm proud of the committee, as I was proud of the landscape committee 2 years ago when I presented to them, and they unanimously decided that the Southeast Greenway was a very, very poor choice, given the location and the residents that live close to it, the infection control issues, the noise, the traffic, the safety. And I'm very relieved that you've been directed to think about the Northwest Greenway if you decide to move forward with the dog park pilot. I'm concerned because the survey that was shared with the working group shows that less than 1% of Mueller residents are willing to pay more than $20 a year to maintain a dog park. That's concerning to me. I actually am in favor of a dog park. But in conclusion, the 50-plus residents that we have, that is near the Southeast Greenway, which we call Keep the Southeast Greenway Beautiful Coalition. We don't have a website. I know you guys have a website. Are happy that we don't have to proceed any further with this issue. We all know that when we bought our houses, we knew that we were moving next to a skate park. And what we argued and learned from this journey is that the Mueller community does not put pickleball courts across the street from homeowners. And we don't put dog parks across the street from homeowners. spending time with you over the past several months, I've learned a lot about what you do. I would not want to change places with you. I can't believe you're not paid, but I want to thank you guys for allowing us to go through this formal process and recommendation that was made by the community at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mose Khan.
I can join you, right?
You're good there, yeah.
All right. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm facing the correct direction?
You're good.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. First of all, I want to thank everyone for allowing the opportunity to speak. I reside on Taniguchi Street, and of course I'm really blind and I have a guide dog. And I want to speak on the behalf of the initiative for having a dog park. So as much as it wouldn't really make a difference, I mean, I've done very, in a hard dog, because my life depends on it, kind of standpoint, the dog park will allow a very controlled environment where we can have, like when Eddie is not working, he can run and relieve his stress. Right now, he doesn't have. So that's one of the very, like, sort of a selfish way, but also at the same time, I looked up on it, looking at, I could not find a single objectionable, quantifiable impact for environment or anything else that said, if you put a dog park here, it's gonna cause a problem. So super excited about the pilot. Now, problem with the pilot park putting it the north side is I can't get there. And so for that creates a hardship for me. I'll either have to go 24 hours in advance metro access, when it gets too hot. It's not safe for me to cross Berkman, all these streets across. Only 2 streets on Berkman are four-way crossing. The rest of them, it's not really safe for, sighted person. So I would recommend looking at that because it is a pilot. Pilot should be objective. It should give us good data on how many people would benefit from. If you put it in a corner somewhere and nobody comes to it, then the pilot is not objective. It's just gonna show 4 people showed up, might as well not have, right? So my recommendation or opinion, the matter is that I would appreciate if we could support and look at it from a standpoint of where people can go. And to my speaker before me, to his point, the response by the neighbors, unfortunately, there's a lot of issues we have and people sometimes respond, sometimes don't. And we still don't know what makes people tick. Even from hanging on those middle lanes in the pool, which I use for reference point when I swim, people break them. People are not supposed to do that. People do that. So please do support Dog Park on the behalf of Eddie and myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.
Cooper Myers.
Hello, my name is Cooper Myers. I'm a homeowner. I live close to the southeastern location, and I have a career in data. I'm a machine learning engineer, and anyway, I compiled some location data and some maps that shows the walking distances of all of the homeowners in Mueller. So let's start with the southeastern location. The green area on the map is anywhere in the homeowner section of Mueller where someone can walk 15 minutes to that location. And this is still a pretty fast pace, like probably someone maybe is as athletic or as young as myself. So it probably would take longer for some people, but most of it's green, so that's a good thing. And then on this one, this is the northwestern location. You can see there's only a small area of green. Green is 15 minutes or less. Yellow is less than 20. Orange is less than 25. And red is less than 30. And there's a small area in gray here that would be over 30 minutes to walk one way to the northwest location. And to me, I feel like to make the dog park usable by the homeowners of Mueller, about 15-minute walk is acceptable for most people. When you start talking about 25 minutes one way, 30 minutes one way, and that turns into about an hour walk. or more if you're a slower walker. And so then, in that situation, you have to drive. So I think that a proposal in the Northwest is basically a proposal that says, I believe every homeowner in Mueller should have to drive to a dog park. And I don't think that's an acceptable answer. In addition to that, we already have the existing location, and if you overlay the walking chart of the existing location, you can see the entirety of Mueller is in green, which means that everybody in the entirety of Mueller can walk 15 minutes or less to a dog park, either the existing location or the new one. If I show you the other map, which shows the northwestern location, all this area in gray is not even 15-minute walk to the current location now. That's where I live. So if you put in northwestern location, it doesn't help me at all. I wouldn't be able to walk to it because I go to the dog park twice a day. So asking me to walk 30 minutes one way twice a day, that's 2 hours a day of walking. I don't think that's acceptable for most people. We already have a community in the southeastern location that goes to the dog park. We go there because it's a great location, not because we're trying to break the law, just because it is a great location for a dog park, right? And to my knowledge, nobody goes to the northwestern location, so why would it make sense to build a dog park there? Also, in addition to that, the Sprouts parking lot was.
Sorry. Thank you for the information.
Thank you. Would you like this?
Yeah, we're
Sure.
happy to take it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Eschberger.
Wanted to thank the board for listening to our feedback and considering it. Obviously, this is the beginning of presentation of a pilot study that I never even really knew about. I heard the results through the grapevine because I take my dog to the southwest or the southwest park, southeast park, usually 2 times a day. And the fact that 6 out of 10 neutral people recommended a place where I feel it wouldn't get any use wasn't known by me. There was probably plenty of other people that really didn't participate in it that are dog walkers. I have a younger dog. She's about 1.5 years. She pulls every time she wants to go anywhere, and walking 30 minutes to the northeast, or whatever you want to call it, being by I-35, an area with much more high traffic as far as commercial buildings, that doesn't sound logical or feasible to me. For many reasons, mainly because of proximity, but also because it's already used. It seems like at least consider the other alternative, the southeast park. To me, it doesn't even seem like it needs to be a full, expensive dog park. If there's some homeowners across the street that are afraid of increased traffic or the smell of dog poop, I go out there twice a day, and I'm telling you, there's not a lot of dog poop on the ground. There hardly ever is. Anybody who's a responsible dog owner picks up the poop. And it seems like it would be easy just to extend the fence to maybe make it a little bit safer so that dogs aren't running out into the street if they do go up the hill. But I've been here for almost 2.5 years. I've never seen a fight. I've never seen anybody afraid. The only people I've ever seen afraid are people that are afraid of dogs. If my dog runs up to sniff your dog, you're scared, I'm sorry, but I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think that area will be used, and whether we do an enclosed dog park that meets all of the standards of the city, I don't know. I don't know enough about all that. But I just know that that area is perfect, and that would be my choice for it if I had any say in it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Jordan Trenchin. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Jordan Tranchina. Very close again. I have lived in Mueller for 1.5 years. I'm a renter here, and I moved here with my wife, and we celebrated the 1-year birthday of our daughter just recently. We specifically moved to Mueller because it was an extremely walkable place inside of Austin, Texas. We lived in a couple different places previously, and we had to drive everywhere. We were really, really attracted to the sidewalks and very family supportive community that had been built in Mueller. And one thing that we did notice was that it didn't have a dog park. And so I'll say it right from the front. I'm very supportive of the dog park. Love to see a dog park. Specifically, would love to see it in the southern location. Because previous people have said, and really enjoyed the data guy here, who has shown the data about the walkability scores. I think that that's quite important. I'd be very, very curious. There was some conversation about the survey earlier. I'd be very curious to see what the results of that survey are. If we can publish that Instagram. And as well, the note about this woman was saying this, how there are individuals who already go to that space and use it as a dog park today. I would imagine if we put a new dog park location in the northern section, because of the walkability scores, many of those individuals would still continue to bring their dog park to the southern location. You know, they're doing that right now. They're, I believe, technically breaking the rules by having an off-leash dog there. There's this concept in UX design, which I work in, about the happy path. People will follow the happy path. If there's some pavement over here and you can go cut the grass in order to get to your location faster, they'll cut the grass because you can get to your location faster. Much in the same way, if there's an official location for the dog park in the northern section, I would imagine most people will still go to the southern section, continue to go break the law, and put other people at risk who might come by, right? Want some protection from the dogs, and things like that. Anyway, so I'm very supportive of location, a dog park in the city location. I think it would be really nice and very convenient to other families who are interested in moving to Mueller. I think the walkability scores are great, and would just encourage the community and the group to think about it as a pilot. If you do something in the northern location, consider if there's ways to do a pilot in the southern location as well to collect the data. It's not possible. But very supportive of the dog park. Really love Mueller. I can't go on being here. It's my first city hall thing, so this is fun.
Thank you.
Joshua Brown.
And how many more do we have?
Last person.
Okay.
Hi. All right, I too am the same thing, giving it support. The Muslim community, I've been in Mueller for 1.5 years, and I'm right on Zach Scott, and the Muslim community I have made in this town has been through my dog. I haven't really found any other way to meet people nearby, and it's been a great community. From what I understand, the people that have been the most vocal against the location at the Southeast Greenway are just the ones that directly face it on their street and don't want it. But everyone else that I know of, majority does want it there. It doesn't make sense to me personally to have it over a mile away when there already is one over there, over towards all the buildings and Airport Boulevard. So I can't physically keep up with my dog all the time, and having a place for him to run around and be healthy makes me feel good as a dog owner, and also makes me feel like he's going to have a healthy, happy life. I wish I could run around with him as much as I could, and having a place that's fenced in would make it so no one else more reason is stressed out with them, and also would make it so that I don't have to worry about him. He's usually really good about staying in his zone, but every now and then, you know, another dog distracts him. And so that's worrisome. I would really love a fence. The other thing over in the southeast. Let's see. I think the city would maintain it, which would make it not as much of an issue, and probably the poop bags and containers would be better maintained with that. And then, many times there's been people meeting over in the Southeast Greenway, and I've never seen the parking filled up, ever. And it's usually only for a short period of time, like just like an hour, if that, on the day. The other thing is, it could still potentially be multi-use, because would they make the entire field a fenced-in area? I mean, it'd be great if they would, but I don't see that being likely. So that being not usable by other people doesn't quite make sense to me. Also, there's another huge field right in the sight of that big field. So that argument doesn't totally fit. Anyway, please consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks to everyone who spoke this evening. And as Brian said earlier, there will be a report a little bit later in the agenda on the dog park recommendation, dog park pilot recommendation. So now we come to the part of the meeting that is business, and we make sure that we have a quorum of the board, which we do, and I believe we have Joe Bruce online. Oh, there he is right there. And Joe Bruce is online as well. And this is the first meeting since we signed an agreement with the Mueller Foundation to have ex officio seats on each other's boards. And so Frances Ferguson is joining us online this evening. And she is sitting in for the executive director of the Mueller Foundation, which is Robin LaFleur. And Frances is the ex officio executive director of the Mueller Foundation. So she's here this evening. And the way that works is ex officio do not vote on agenda items, but can participate in discussions of agenda items. So we're glad to have you here, Frances.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And with that, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from August 28th. So I know you've all read the meeting minutes already and made your notes. So I'm looking for a motion to approve. Thank you, Joe D.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any modifications or corrections needed for the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Now we go to our financial report section with Joe Freeland, our treasurer, who's going to talk about the approval of is going to talk about considering approval of the August monthly financial report and give his treasurer's report.
Thanks, Karen. The packet that you have has the August financials in it. The big picture is, for the most part, pretty much the same as last month. We continue to have overruns in the number of areas, variances, negative variances. They're the same as they've been before. We're under collecting on assessments because we over budgeted on the assessment number. We have, and the only one really to point out are, we've had a number of unbudgeted irrigation repair expenses, which we're budgeting in for next year, a larger amount. And the other is water use. We've already exceeded our water utility budgeted number for 25. We still have a few months left to go. So we're not going to hit that budget at all. We've increased it for the 26 budget, but I think I discussed this last month. One of my goals for next year is going to be getting the water utility under control, get our water use under control. And in fact, I think I'm going to have a meeting in a couple of weeks with the Pecan Street people to discuss, to see if they have any solutions or suggestions for solutions so that we can get a better handle on our water use and our ability to monitor leaks, which is one of our bigger problems right now, and just generally our use. On aged accounts receivable, that's been an issue ongoing. We have a slight decrease in aged accounts receivable this month. We have a slight increase on the master side, but we have a decrease in accounts receivable on the row home side, and those are the two bigger issues. We're still running at about $900,000 in uncollected assessments. The staff has started, Cohere staff has started in the collections process running, and I think that's beginning to show some sign of improvement on getting money in. The other thing I'd really like to talk about is the budget. I know we meant to have a workshop on the 26 budget before this meeting. We had a budget and finance committee meeting yesterday, and in that meeting, we discovered, and part of this was my fault. I've been trying to figure out, one, why we over budgeted assessments for this year. And then we got from the developer a list of the assessment units that the developer believes are in the neighborhood. And it didn't match what we are billing out. And so career staff and I have been trying to get a handle on who we're not billing primarily. And I think we're getting close to that. There are a few large properties that have not been billed, and this is on the commercial side. I think we're close to resolving that. There may be an issue on the residential side. That's a lot harder to figure out because instead of there are 20 or 30 commercial entities and there are 3,000 residential accounts. And so I don't think that number is off that far, maybe less than 100 assessment units. But that sort of plays into the budget because until we know how much money is coming in, it's hard to know exactly how much money we need to spend. And so at the last Budget and Finance Committee meeting yesterday, we saw that even with a $6 increase in master assessments, there still seemed to be a large deficit on, based on expenses. I think we can solve that with tracking down these missing assessments. But I'm not sure yet. So that was one reason why we couldn't have a workshop earlier today. I will tell you though, sort of what we're looking at with regard to assessment increases. For master, like I said, we're looking right now at a $6 increase from $54 a month to $60 a month. And really that money would go to additional staffing. The proposal is to add 2 additional staff, one being the Director of Asset Management, which would be John. And then the other would be a new hire, which would be a
Standards enforcement.
Standards enforcement, thank you, Karen. I'm going to call them compliance monitoring, but standards enforcement and customer service. We've heard a lot. We even heard tonight, right, about the fact that we haven't done a great job in the past of enforcing the covenants throughout and the rules throughout the community, and in part because we just have lacked the resources to do that. And this hire would help get us closer to being able to do that. We have increases just from the fact that we under budgeted this year, and we need to increase to cover what we anticipate those expenses to be. And hopefully, I mean, we've done this for years now, put in budget money to fund improvements and maintenance improvements to landscape, and hopefully put it in the budget and increased it this year for next year, and hopefully that will give us the ability to get that actually done. For row homes, we've been talking about what I'm going to view as a sort of best case budget. And best case let's just ignore that there was a storm in May of this year. And if we ignore the storm, we were looking at a budget increase of about $19 a month, which would go from $261 to $280. And that's, row homes are actually billed out on a tiered basis depending on the square footage of the home. And so that number just represents the average of the base number. And that money would go primarily to increased insurance premiums, which have continued to dog us on row homes, and then improve landscaping and building maintenance. 2 other issues that have been big with row homeowners. The flip side of that is we still don't have a report from our insurance company on the May storm, so we don't know at this point exactly how we will fund the repairs that will be coming, because we don't know how much we're going to get in terms of insurance proceeds. We don't know exactly how large that deductible amount is, and that will be key. I mean, we are still looking at a special assessment, and it'll be a large special assessment to cover those repair costs. But we don't have the report back yet from the insurance company, so we haven't yet been able to put all those pieces together on room. We may still have to adopt a budget, which will be this sort of best case budget that we discussed and wrote in the budget committee meeting yesterday. The other sort of smaller service areas are cottage homes. We're not going to increase cottage home assessments next year. We spent a little time digging through the way costs were being allocated in the budget and discovered that there were some costs being allocated to cottages that maybe should have not be. So we moved that money around, and that kept us from having to make a assessment increase there. And on garden homes, we have a slight $7 increase, which would take them from $42 a month to $49 a month. And mostly that is additional landscaping costs. And we'll have some new service area fees in the budget, assessments in the budget, but we haven't worked those out yet. So on the budget, hopefully in the next few weeks, Budget and Finance can get back together. We can get their recommendation on a final budget, and we can, I think you wanted to schedule perhaps another Master Board workshop where we could discuss that.
We have to approve.
Before we have to approve it, which we have
Yes.
to do before November 1st. So after that long report, I would recommend approval of the August financials.
I move we approve the August financials.
That's second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
That's my report.
Well, that's a very sobering report, Joe. But thank you. You're a very good treasurer. And I know you and the staff have been working really hard. So thanks for that. Next, we have a special guest. Mateo Barnstone, resident, is also on the Parking and Transportation Management District Oversight Committee. And he's here to give us a brief update on what they do and any updates that you might have. Would you like to stand
Sure,
up?
do you mind if I speak from here?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mateo Barnstone. For those who don't know me, I'm a resident of Mueller, been here since 2012, and served on various committees, including the Row Home Committee. And I'm a resident parking wonk, I guess, for lack of a better term. Early advocate of Mueller becoming a PTMD, which stands for Parking Transportation Management District. And I've been involved in lots of parking issues in the city, across the city. And when this oversight, or I guess advisory committee was formed, I went ahead and submitted an application to become the POA representative, and I was appointed by this board to do so. The basics on the PTMD is that the boundaries of it are formed by the boundaries of Mueller. So all of Mueller is a transportation management district, parking transportation management district. And the purpose of that is to gather a number of tools that the city has in one bucket so that they can appropriately manage the curb. As you know, Mueller is going to be a mix of rather intense commercial and rather intense residential butting up against each other. And in those kinds of areas, you can get parking concerns generated from the cross-use of the available parking. And the purpose of the Parking Transportation Management District is to use all the tools that the city has to appropriately manage parking so that people are using the curb in the appropriate ways. As part of the PTMD, there is a revenue split in the management of the meters. And so there's a 51% split that goes to the community after expenses are deducted from revenue. And so, this year, revenue has been accumulating at around $50,000 to $75,000 per month from various sources, but it's mostly from parking meter fees. Expenditures are more stable. They are run around $35,000 a month. The split after that runs between about $10,000 and $20,000 a month, and I'd say averages out to about $15,000 a month. The cut to the chase story here is that there's about $1 million right now in the fund that is accumulated over the last 5 years or so. Longer than that, the PTMD was established in 2015, I think.
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that.
So every year, the revenue and the expenses have grown, but over that time, about $1 million is accumulated into that fund. And will continue to accumulate probably at an accelerated rate as we build out and become a more and more used community. So part of what the committee is charged is to make recommendations on what those funds can and should be used for. The restrictions are that they must relate to transportation in some way. I don't believe that these are the same restrictions that exist, say, like the city might have in terms of what might accumulate from fees that go to the city for development. So those are very strict. They must be used to fund certain kinds of transportation. This is much more than sweet defined because it comes from the city, it comes from state law. And my understanding is the funding can be spent almost anywhere in Miller, anywhere within the boundaries of the Miller property. So we have about $1 million. In addition to myself on the committee, there's a representative from, what's the new name?
Banbury.
Okay.
I know. Changed our names a lot recently, but it's Banbury now.
Brian, who's our representative. There's a representative from the commercial district, Ashley, who runs Colleen's, and Ashley Frick. There's a representative of the M&A, who is I believe Hayden, and I believe Bovier has a representative as well, and Joe Fagan from the city. We've had just a few meetings since we were appointed as a committee. A number of suggestions have been made for how those funds could be spent, and just give me a second, I'll pull up that. So these recommendations have come from various members. They include hockey stick marks, perhaps striped curbs on those curb sections where you might have difficulty seeing around the oncoming traffic, and so they set the parking back so we can make it more clear for people not to park in those spaces. High-vis painted crosswalks, more bike racks, particularly in and around the town center area, Alder Street. Erosion control in Lake Park, particularly over where the sidewalks are. You have a steep hillside, and you have deep shade from the trees, which has prevented a lot of grass from growing, and so now whenever it rains, you get mud sliding down onto the sidewalk. So perhaps there's a way to control some of that and make walking a little bit easier, wayfinding signage, which could be help people find appropriate alternatives to street parking, such as parking in garages, lawn restoration in Lake Park, more trash cans in Lake Park has been one suggestion, a better crossing where Zach Scott crosses the trail at Tom Miller. And one proposal for a center median trail, perhaps a pedestrian walkway of some kind in Simon that connects the school to the Aldrich Street area, Bottomano. Might be, so it could be used for all those things or other things. And if the board wishes to ever let me know, I'm more than happy to bring suggestions back for that. Additionally, we've given feedback on such things as the implementation of the use of RPP and hybrid meters. These are not decisions that are made at the committee level, but they float questions to us, and then we give our feedback as we understand it and as we've heard back from our neighbors. And my understanding is that recently they have made some changes and introduced a new form of RPP that is actually hybrid, where visitors would pay meters, but residents who live along that street would just use an RPP permit for the parking. And so that allows both collection of revenue, but also the appropriate management of those curb spaces so that they're not overused during peak demand times. I think that's what I have to report for now. I'm happy to take any questions.
I do have a question. Has there been discussion about sidewalks in general? I know we're having sidewalk failures in several areas.
Yeah, it's come up on a number of times that we noticed that there are areas in sidewalks that you've seen dips, particularly where it seems like there was an excavation and then loose soil was put back, and then over time that soil was packed and you get dips. I'm not sure that we've resolved whether that's a city issue or whether funds from the PTMD could be used towards making those repairs. It's certainly been discussed and brought up, but I can't recall if we've ever come to a resolution on that.
I can just speak to that real quickly. I think the conversation has been that technically sidewalks are the responsibility of the city of Austin, and we should continue to contact them through various ways, including 311 and the app, et cetera, to do that. But if we want to expedite repairs, because of course the city has sidewalk repairs to be made all over their jurisdiction, if we want to expedite that, we might be able to use PTMD dollars towards that effort.
And Francis has a question.
Justice Francis, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
I have two questions. First is a technical question. Are the funds responsible for maintaining any of the parking infrastructure?
No. The parking infrastructure itself is paid for out of the revenues, is my understanding. And then the revenue split is divided between the city and the PTMD fund after those expenses have been accounted for.
Thank you. And then my only other question or comment is, so many of our residents are actually kind of on the north half of the campus because of the most of the rental properties being on the north half. So I'm hoping that y'all are communicating with the rental property owners about what needs their, or managers about what needs their residents are running into.
Certainly.
Yep.
We agree. We, as a group, we're always trying to be cognizant of all the users of the PTMD, but we'll absolutely keep the renters in mind. And if anyone again, from the board feels like there's any specific issue that they need to bring forward to my attention, please do so, and I'm happy to bring it up to the committee.
Yeah, this is Joe Bruce-Bailey, one of the owners of the rental properties, or the representative of the Ailey portfolio at Mueller. Garcia, there's the Primrose Daycare across from our Ailey North Park project. During the mornings, you know, there's a kind of a rush hour in the mornings and afternoons. I'm glad we were able to put the sidewalk at all, the stop sign there at Aldrich and Garcia. But would these funds be available to put some kind of crosswalk there that would allow the folks that are on the north side of the street walk across to get there more safely?
I believe that these are the kinds of projects that can be paid for out of the PTMD funds. So,
But we also, as a project, can ask the city to look into that independent of these funds and see if the city could just fund it separate. And I mean, you still use these funds for other things. So we'll look into that, Joe.
yeah, both of those are correct. If it's a city project and the city can pay for it, otherwise, that's great, and we can save the money and use it for something else within Mueller. But I do believe that we can spend money on crosswalks.
Okay, because that's something that we're wanting to investigate, knowing that's as with our residents now, that there's 326 parking units that are leaving every morning or coming in at evening, either at Barbara Jordan or Garcia. The traffic there is increased, and we just want to make sure that we help assist the Primrose Academy in being safe.
I'll make a note of that to bring up at the next meeting.
Mateo, this is really good information. It's so important that we understand this, and it occurs to me that we should try to sync our budget development with making requests and maybe getting some response on what's possible for the use of those funds that we would be looking at to fund otherwise, with our budget. And as you've heard, we have some challenges with the budget. So this is definitely good information, and would like more coordination in the future on that.
There's one other issue I just want to put forward because it's come up within the M&A and some other places. There's been a request to reconsider whether that parking lot over near the park at Town Square, the town center, could be included as a metered area. Currently it fills up early in the morning and with a lot of parkers who are probably using it inappropriately, not for the park itself, although that was the intention. It was specifically excluded from paid parking when the PTMD was established, and there's been a request to reconsider that question. And my understanding is for that to be reconsidered, it would probably have to go before this board and the city and a number of different groups, but that may come your way at some point.
And I can just clarify on that specifically. It was when this PTMD was created before the city council, it was select council members specifically asked that this parking lot at Lake Park, and then I think also the parking area around the hangar, be kept free for visitors who, or maybe lower income or that sort of thing, as well as another free spot for folks parking Thinkery. But I think it's something we certainly can explore again. But yes, we probably require some input from the city on that. I'll also just take an opportunity just to clarify a couple of things. I know, first of all, thank you, Mateo, for all your help on that. I know, great presentation. I just want to say a couple of things. Just to clarify that this board, this master board, does not make the ultimate decision on any of this stuff. Ultimately, what this committee is doing shares the recommendations to city staff then goes through the process of determining what it would cost, if it's feasible, et cetera. And ultimately, it's the director of the transportation department of the city of Austin who makes those decisions. So please don't lobby us specifically, but please do share recommendations on how that money can be used. Second, we are one of many PTMD districts around the city. And we are very fortunate that some other PTMDs started before we did, so we kind of learned from their efforts. There's one down in South Congress that actually helped aid in some of the work that's being done in the recent addition of paid parking that was added to Miller Boulevard and areas west of there. And we're also very fortunate, most of the other PTMDs have been established, and they're practically required to use that money to build new sidewalks, which are very expensive to do. But fortunately, in a community like Miller, where we already have sidewalks lined on every single street on both sides, yes, we may have some repairs that need to be made, but we're very fortunate that we don't have to spend money on building new sidewalks. And then one of the suggestions that I think has come up is wayfinding. I know that's been a conversation that's been ongoing for quite some time, and you may not be aware of this, but at the Miller Commission meeting just last month or earlier this month, a presentation was made. The project itself, working with the city and Catellis, we are developing a wayfinding plan and spending the money from the project funds to do wayfinding specifically for encouraging people to get to the district garages. So that's already in the works, and that's something we probably would not need to be spending PTMD dollars on, which means we can use it for other things. So just FYI on that.
Okay, thank you, Mateo.
Thank you.
Okay, any other committee reports? Diane, did you want to make a brief announcement, or?
I'm the chair of the recruitment committee, and so this time of year, we are looking forward to our election of the mixed use board in October, I guess, is when the election will be. So we're looking that there will be 2 open vacancies on the mixed use board starting in January of 2026. So we are looking for at least 2 applicants to fill those positions, and the deadline to apply is midnight on Sunday. So if anybody has any questions about what it takes to be that representative, I'm happy to answer questions.
It's an easy application form.
It is an easy application form. It's online at lifeatmiller.com under governance, mixed use sub-association, and there's a link to it right there.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. And if anybody wants to apply, and you could also come talk to Cohere after the meeting, and they could make sure you.
Is there a deadline for application?
September 28th, Sunday. Sunday at midnight. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Diane. And now we're ready for you, John.
Okay.
But let's try to watch the time.
Yes.
Because we're kind of going a little bit.
You bet.
Great meeting full of good information.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you, board, and it's always great to see new faces at our board meetings, so thank you for coming. I just realized as I was standing up here that this is probably the last time that I'll be given an address in this role. I'll be moving over to Director of Community Assets, and we'll be welcoming a new Executive Director beginning October 1st. And so we're planning a thorough onboarding experience for both with Cohere and the Mueller ops that we have here. And we very much look forward to working with her, and I think you'll enjoy her immensely. So,
what's her name?
Tricia McKinnon is her name. Thank you. And so I'm just going to take you quickly for in the interest of time. We'll be talking a little bit about administrative, communications and engagement, our facilities and grounds, and finally our operations. Administratively, wanted to report on our 30-day Vantica action report. So total of 1,375 items. We were able to have a correction here, but improve that by responding to 579, which, about 26 daily average closed. We do have help with that, and so we're mostly staying current, and we're just working off our backlog. And so continued improvement on that. Communications and engagement. The POA is at the direction of the board, working with a company to design some custom signs that will be installed throughout the Southeast Greenway to promote adherence to dog leash rules. We're in the process of coordinating and scheduling a second visit from the park ranger to come out and promote responsible park use by folks and their pets. And the POA additionally is working with APD. We'll have a coordination meeting midweek next week to talk about how to enforce off-leash dog rules. Communications and engagement. The POA is currently in the planning stages of its first fall festival, the Mueller Harvest. It'll take place October 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. at John Gaines Park. Under facilities and grounds, Urban Dirt is working with our landscape manager on developing a fall tree planting plan. They're also in the process of executing 2 approved minor landscaping projects for row homes. Essentially, they're erosion control projects that happen between the curb and the sidewalk. And so there's two projects. One is going to be a test area for installation of zoysia grass to see how it'll establish itself and so on. We're also in the final stages of planning a re-landscaping initiative around the sink block, focused on the area same between the curb and sidewalk. Restroom improvements, we have installed new partitions at the Lake Park bathrooms. We repaired or replaced a door at the Ella Wooten restrooms near the basketball court, and we're continuing to look at other areas that we can make repairs and adjustments to. Want to report that our shades, the shade structures at both Ella Wooten and John Gaines were successfully installed. It was a very smooth project, safely executed, and we met all the metrics that we said we would do, and so minimal time of closure. On the operations side, we have for the modifications committee, we received 6 applications. We approved a total of 4, and 2 were returned to revise and resubmit. Hailstorm update. So our insurer Travelers has notified us that the cost estimate has been delayed over what they said they would have to us by now, and so we are expecting that by around mid-October now. We're continuing to replace glass and screen. So far, we've had 495 window screens reported, total of 208 window replacement requests, and so out of those numbers, we're about 25% complete. Another 25% work in process, where probably the glass is in but not the screen. We're not counting those as complete, with a balance of about 50% still to be coordinated to be repaired. And that concludes my report.
Wow, John,
Thank you.
that was
Yeah,
great.
breezed right
You
through
did
it.
that really
Yeah.
quickly. And while we're on
I took a breath, yeah.
While we're on the topic of thanking John, I would like to thank John for being our interim executive director these months, and you've done a great job, and we're so thrilled that we get to keep you in the community as the director of assets, which you will do a fantastic job.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I have one question. One of the presenters talked about tree supports and tree
Mhm.
would that be part of the landscape review?
Yeah, I made a note, so we're going to take a look at it. It had come up before. We had taken care of that, and so essentially that's a call that the landscaper makes with our landscape manager, whether the tree is established enough to remove the supports on them. So we'll take a look at them and adjust accordingly. Yep, you bet.
Karen, can I just make one quick
Yeah.
comment? I just wanted to say, not necessarily in defense of John or defense of the team, but your comment about the delay from the insurance company.
Yeah.
That's not unusual. We've now been through 3 major hailstorms in the past 4 years. And when I directly worked with this, when I was the board president, we were very frustrated by the first insurance company and now the second insurance company. and because of the delays caused, I think a lot of people just assume that it's the POA not doing its job or not getting the information, et cetera. We have over 1,000 row homes, and so it's a big project. And so it automatically, causes the process to take a while. And we've ran into this before, so I just want to make sure everyone understands that it's not a POA issue. John and team, our insurance broker and other consultants, have been working very closely with the insurance company trying to move this forward. And I also want to thank John and team for the repairs that have been made in the interim, getting people's homes back in shape, getting the windows repaired, knowing that money will come in later on. That's been a huge coordination effort, so thank you very much for that.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, now this is a meeting of lots of reports. So now we're going to have a couple of reports, or 3 reports from the board regarding items that are coming up. And so, Joe Denton, can you give us a swim team proposal report?
Okay, I will, and I'll try to do it as shortly, as quickly as possible. The board, if you'll recognize in your packet, you have several supporting documents and a timeline. The timeline is there to provide the board with an understanding of all the steps that we've gone through from the time that the proposal was first presented back in 2024 to the pool committee, and then going from there to the time they made the presentation, the initial denial of the swim team in February of this year. A couple of things I wanted to draw in particular attention to you is that, and I've highlighted in my notes here, but the supporting documents we have, first off, is a report from the pool committee with their concerns that we had in the very beginning. Also, we have a letter that once the process in August was approved, at that point in time, John and his staff contacted several entities to verify some information in the proposal, one of which was to contact the lifeguards company, who also does our maintenance, to verify some information there. And in your package, you'll have a response from the lifeguard company and their concerns as well. And that's from Joey Suarez in there. And then finally, we have a letter that was sent to us from Christy Bryce with Cohere, advising the board on the HOA responsibilities under the
Fair Housing
Act, and so that information is there for y'all's review as well. One of the things that we learned in the process that's really critical to this is our insurance coverage. We have found out that there are gaps in the insurance, particularly around things, special events. We don't have special events coverage from our general liability policy, which means if there's a parade or if there's an athletic event and there's injuries involved, we are not covered. Now, granted, whoever does if it's like a parade or like the M&A has a parade, or if there's a sporting event, they have their own coverage, but that doesn't include this, what we call the gap. And so we're looking into the special events insurance policy. It will be expensive, but it would give us additional coverage in case of an event. You can imagine if you had a parade and you had a car plowed into a group of people, the damages could be quite extensive, and the claims. Our attorneys pointed out, when we met with our attorney, pointed out, regardless of what happens, the POA will be included in any kind of suit. So we're exploring this, and we haven't had an actual cost estimate yet on what it would cost for us to do this, but it is something that we need to, as a board, need to consider as a special insurance to make sure that we are well covered in terms of incidents. So you have that information before you. Now the next steps, Karen will speak to this a little bit later, but we will be having a resident forum for the community on October the 11th. At that time, one of the discussion items will be the swim team, and so that we'll have another opportunity for residents to look at their proposal before that actually goes to this board for final approval or disapproval in October. So that concludes my report.
That was pretty good. Very succinct. Any questions for Joe? Okay. Brian, you're up with the dog park pilot.
Haven't we already discussed this enough? So I'll be brief on this as well. First of all, just let me clarify, there's no discussion and there's no decision being made this evening, and probably won't even for the next meeting. There's still more to be discussed. But the DOLA, or the Dog Off-Leash Pilot Working Group, did have their last meeting on September 10th. A few reminders, this group was tasked with or made up of Miller residents and representatives of surrounding neighborhoods, because this dog park is meant to, if it goes forward, serve not just Miller residents, but to the surrounding neighborhoods as well. Again, they were tasked with determining if the pilot program should go forward, and then studying the location. And then just to clarify, PARD, Parks and Recreation Department, would be responsible for funding the infrastructure of the pilot program, paying for the fencing, that sort of thing. But the Property Owners Association would be then responsible for the maintenance during that pilot program. And then if the pilot program turned into a full-time or a permanent dog park, the POA would be responsible for implementing the logistics of that, the infrastructure, as well as the maintenance. So at the last meeting on September 10th, the working group voted unanimously to approve having a pilot dog off-leash area in Miller, and voted with a majority to recommend it be in the Northwest Greenway. Again, that's just the recommendation that was made. Decision has been made final yet. I was not in that meeting, but I do understand the Northwest Greenway was selected because the location of the Southeast Greenway is, of course, been very spirited discussion and debate about that, and because there already is a pretty high use amenity with the skate park located in that area, and kind of maybe distributing the amenities into other parts of the community. The working group also recommended, as part of this, that wherever this is located, it be situated near trees, or includes a kind of shade structure for people who are using it. That a separate area be designated for smaller and for larger dogs, or at least a kind of fence that separates them. That there be a double gated entry, have access to water and movable furniture, and more pet waste stations, and then defining whatever that clear success measures are needed in order to determine if a permanent location is designated, and then making sure there's community input during the pilot program. And then I want to share real quickly, a summary of these recommendations will be included in tomorrow's newsletter. So if you hopefully will get the newsletter, and you can read more of those details. And that's my quick update. Any questions or?
Yeah, Brian, will the survey information also be in that?
Not at the level of detail, but I can share a couple of things. It's my understanding, and I haven't had a chance to look at the full survey results themselves, but I know 975 people participated in the survey, which is a huge number. And again, this went out to not just Miller residents, but the surrounding neighborhoods as well. I know the biggest concerns, one of the questions was, what would be the concerns if there were to be a pilot program? I know cleanliness was the #1 concern, followed by human safety, and then dog safety. It was a close third. I know from the survey results that most respondents supported the overall idea of a dog park, but as I think indicated by one of our speakers, a majority of the people were not interested if the dog park was permanent. Most people were not interested in actually paying for a dog park, which I'm not surprised by that result. And then a small majority of the results from that survey did indicate the Southeast Greenway over the Northwest Greenway. But for the reasons and other reasons included, as I mentioned before, the working group still opted for the Northwest Greenway as the location. And those are kind of the highlights of the survey.
If successful, if the pilot is successful, would that be the location for the permanent park?
Not necessarily. That's still to be determined. I think that's going to be the board's discretion.
Yeah.
But I think that the input that we would get from the pilot, if the board decides to go forward with the pilot, if the board decides to put the Northwest Greenway as the location, that input from that pilot would then determine next steps, including the future locations.
Thank you.
There's no,
questions about we're taking.
no,
Yeah.
we're not doing any.
I will also, sorry, I will say, I forgot to mention that, like the swim team being included in the community forum on October 11th, there'll be an opportunity, and we'll have a breakout session specifically on the dog park, so anyone can come and speak to that at that point. And of course, you can also email the board at any time with your comments as well.
Thank you, Brian. Was there anything else on dog park?
No.
Okay. Just real quickly, I'll talk a little bit more about the community forum. It is October 11th from noon to 2. It's going to be here at Austin Energy in the big hall down the way. And we're going to have an opening session with some high-level updates on our transition to property owner majority boards, the management company transition, and the next steps for the transition process. We also have a strategic plan that's new for the POA, and we'll have some highlights there of the strategic plan. And Cohere recently did a survey of the neighborhood on a variety of issues, and we'll have results there. Also, Tricia McKinnon, the new executive director, should be there, and so if you come, you'll be able to meet her. We will have 4 breakout sessions. One will be on the Master Association budget priorities. The other will be the row home update / budget priorities, the swim team pilot proposal, and the dog park pilot working group recommendation. These will be fairly short breakout sessions, 15 minutes at a time, but you can choose 3 to attend, so we're going to rotate 3 different times. So it'll be fast, and it'll generate a lot of understanding and get some good input as well. And we'll also have like a 30 minutes at the end just for Q&A and general commentary during that forum, so it should be good. And I hope that you will come. And the other thing is about, I did want to report, I just got some very raw data about the Cohere survey, which Cohere will put together a big report of that survey results. It will go out to the community and to the boards, and we'll get a full report. But I think our first swim team proposal survey, we had over 900 people. And 975 for the dog park, and for the overall management of the neighborhood, we got 431 respondents. So that's interesting. So 45% of the people who answered were row home owners, which it's good to see that, and not surprised that those homeowners are very engaged. 60% of the respondents reported that they have made a request to Cohere this year. So you've been hearing from a lot of those. 62% have not attended a board meeting this year. And it's so fun, right? 92% of the respondents find the e-blasts and newsletter very helpful, which was good to hear. And 76%, Diane, said that board and committee opportunities are very well communicated. So good job. So those are just some highlights, and we'll get a full report on that soon.
Karen, can I just say real quickly, I think there was a person here who said that they weren't aware of the dog park effort until just recently, and there was communication included in our newsletter. If you're not getting the newsletter, if anyone in this group or anyone online is not getting the newsletter, please send an email to miller@coherelife.com, and so we can get you added to the newsletter. Well, we only send one once a week, every Friday afternoon. And so we limit it to 4 articles, or try to limit it to 4 articles, and we try to limit it to just a couple paragraphs to keep it short for everyone. So encourage everyone to please sign up to get, there's valuable information in that newsletter.
Thank you, Brian, for that public service announcement. Okay, so we're on to the new business. We have 2 items. One is considering approval of the draft strategic plan for release to the community to get feedback. So we have around a 20-page or so, I believe, strategic plan. And so we're going to release that as if we can approve the draft today. It was sent, the boards worked together to create the plan along with input from the committees. And so there's been a lot of input so far, and now if you're comfortable, board, we could move forward to release it to the community. Could I have a motion?
Motion that we
Approve it?
approve the strategic plan draft for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
It would be a lot to digest.
Yes. And just so you know, the theme of the strategic plan is brilliant on the basics, which you will, when you get it through the newsletter and you start reading it and commenting on it, as I know you all will, you will notice that it's very operational in nature and really creating the infrastructure needed for the POA to be successful. And so, but I really do hope you'll take a few minutes to review it when it goes out, which is Friday?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow it's going out? Good. The last thing under new business is a new policy to consider. It's one of those foundational policies that we've, this year as a new board, been wanting to put in place. It is, we talked about a broader ethics policy for board and committees, and we still may bring something like that forward at a future time, but conflict of interest is really the primary policy related, or it's the most foundational policy when it comes to ethical behavior. So this is a resolution adopting a conflict of interest disclosure policy. It includes a duty of disclosure for directors and committee members, any actual, potential, or perceived conflict of interest that could influence or appear to influence their impartiality in deliberations. And what goes along with that is recusal. Any director or committee member with a conflict of interest should recuse themselves from discussion and voting on those related matters. And we have accompanying this an acknowledgement form that would be signed annually for directors and committee members to acknowledge the policy. And there are some remedies if there are violations of this, including issuing a written warning or requiring a recusal from future related matters, recommending removal of the member from their committee role, or in the case of directors, considering further remedies in accordance with the governing documents. We do have language about conflict of interest in our governing documents, and it is also Texas law. So if I could have a motion to approve in a second, we can have any discussion.
I move that we adopt, this board adopt a conflict of interest policy.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion?
The conflict of interest is not just financial, it's also what?
It could be personal.
Okay.
It could be personal. Like if your brother's, you know, your brother has a matter coming up before the board, then you probably shouldn't weigh in on it. So, you know, when it comes to ethical stuff, it's, the perception is important too. So, good question. Any other discussion or questions? Okay. All in favor of adopting this policy, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. So then, good job, good job. Okay, so the next meeting of the Master Board is scheduled for Thursday, October 23rd at 12 p.m. Location to be determined. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you. This,
Call
call a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
It's 8 p.m.
We did it.
No, this